Welcome back to the Muster Point Beyond the Wire, the place where we lift the lid on what's really going on behind the scenes for our veteran community and chat with the people rolling their sleeves up and cracking on with the work that matters. Today we're joined by Darren Wright, founder of Veterans into Logistics. Darren's a man on a mission to help veterans find purpose, stability and a new career behind the wheel as HGV drivers. What started his powerful vision has become a national movement, giving lads and lasses a second shot at life after service. We'll be digging into Darren's own story, what drove him to start the charity and the impact he's having on veterans up and down the country. Grab a brew. This is all about purpose, perseverance and proving that there's always a road ahead.
Thanks, Darren, for taking time out of your busy day. Can you tell us a bit about who you served with, when you left the military and what your transition was like leaving the military?
Yeah, so 99, I joined the Royal Artillery. I ended up joining up with 2-1 Barra on Thorney Island, the airborne side of the air defence.
Yeah.
And I was based down at Thorney Island, down on the south coast, near between Portsmouth and Colchester.
Yeah. When did you get out of the military?
2004, so I've done 5 years in total. And when I left the military, I fell by the wayside, really. I struggled to transition. I started taking drugs and alcohol to sort of help me get by.
Yeah.
So I fell by the wayside. I was in a bad way.
What made you leave the military? Or did you just leave normally, or was there...
No, I started suffering from mental health problems. I ended up in the Army Mental Hospital up in Catterick, and then I was discharged from the military. I was told, actually, if I need any support, get in touch with my GP.
Yeah.
By that time, when I did go to my GP, I was obviously drinking a lot just to help me get through the night. And the GP just said to me, "You need to stop drinking."
Yeah.
But I was in a bad way, mate. I didn't want to be.
Did you get medically discharged for your mental health?
I wasn't given a medical discharge. I can't remember the name of the discharge.
Yeah.
But I think it was just saving on a pension, really. But when I come out of prison, because that's where I ended up, I did put in a compensation claim against the MOD, and I was successful in that.
Yeah. So you literally got the boot, as it were, from the military. You didn't get any sort of resettlement or chance to transition. It was just
Nothing.
You bedded in and off you go.
Yeah, and my ID card did no support, nothing.
And you mentioned there that you ended up doing a bit of time. How long after leaving the military was that?
Within 2 years, I received a custodial sentence. I think 2.5 years it was.
Yeah.
But I'll be truthful with you, mate. If I didn't receive that custodial sentence, I won't be here now. I won't be talking to you.
Yeah.
I was in that such a bad way, where I was drinking, taking drugs. I was self-medicating, really.
Yeah.
And I won't be here now. And every time I speak to someone, I always say that. I won't be here now. I won't be talking to you. I won't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't get sent to prison. I regret the crime. I got involved in, gangland criminality up in Manchester.
Yeah.
I was doing it more I got involved in that because I couldn't hold down a full-time job and I just still needed to earn a bit of money to survive.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess that gang culture's got that sort of brotherhood, that camaraderie, that alpha male sort of vibe, which maybe some we're used to in the military.
Yeah, it does. And, you know yourself, you come from a council state growing up, you serve in the military, you sort of don't you're not going to take any shit when you leave, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone thinks you're either Andy McNabb or Middleton or council estate, and before you know it, you're sucked into it, and you just do it to survive. And I did at the time. I didn't really care about living.
Yeah.
I was on a downward spiral. I've lost my marriage. I became a distant father to my kids. I was in such a bad way. When I got a prison sentence, it saved me.
Yeah. What was it like doing time as a veteran?
Believe it or not, prison is like being in the military.
Yeah.
It's got structure, it's got routine. And that's why, a lot of these, you say that 10% of the prison population are ex-military.
Yeah.
Ex-military people find it easy in prison, just to get on with it, because it's got that structure that you used to, when you become a number like you are in the military.
Yeah.
You just have to get on with it. You've got no choice, have you? You just got to adapt and overcome with it, the situation.
Yeah, I get that. Did you get any support to rehabilitate in prison for your eventual departure?
I did. So obviously combat stress got involved with me. I
Yeah.
got the support that I needed with them. I got diagnosed correctly where I was in prison. That I should have got when in the military. So that made me realise that I wasn't a mental patient. I wasn't off my head. And I couldn't move forward with myself, realising that what my problems were, what my mental health problems were. And when I progressed through the prison, I'd done 6 years in total behind the door.
Yeah.
When I come out, I wanted to rebuild my life again. I wanted to rebuild that relationship with kids because my head was straight.
Yeah.
I got the support that I needed, but my head was right. And I used my HCV license when I come out of prison to rebuild my life. I come out with nothing, but I used my license that I obtained in the military to rebuild my life.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I've done. And I went on to become a fuel tanker driver for Morrison's.
Yeah.
I was on 50 grand a year for a 4-on, 4-off. So I turned myself life around and rebuilt my life with my children. And
was that a decision you made in prison that you thought, right, enough's enough, I'm going to sort my shit out, and then?
No, I think it was truthful. It's not sorting your shit out.
Yeah.
Right. It is like having your head straight.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
My head was back to the way where before I went into the military.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like the old me again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I knew that I was going to go back to prison. I knew that I was going to rebuild my life, and I knew that I was going to be a dad to my kids again.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'd done. I'd never really been in trouble with the police before, but when I come out of prison, I knew I wasn't going back, and I knew I was going to live a successful life.
So how long after leaving Nick did you manage to get the job in as a lorry driver?
Same week.
Same week,
wow. Same week, I got a job as a HCV driver. My probation officer said at the time, no one's going to employ you, you're not going to get a job.
Yeah.
So when I said I got my HCV license, I come out, got in touch with an agency, told him my situation that I just left prison.
Yeah.
Told him that I was looking for employment. The probation officer spoke to him. It was all cleared, and I was driving a truck around the northwest.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the best money, but it was a job at the end of the day, and it helped me rebuild my life.
Yeah. And was it easy to leave? I've had a few mates involved with gangs over the years, and they seem stuck. Was it easy for you once you got out of Nick to sort of leave that life behind?
I think it's easy when you've got employment.
Yeah.
What makes it hard to leave is when you come out and you can't get a decent paying job.
Yeah, I get that.
But
yeah.
obviously, I had a HCV license where if I put the hours in, I could earn £1,000 a week.
Yeah.
Earning £1,000 a week and not looking over his shoulder, I was happy with that.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't like chasing anything. I was just happy to rebuild my life, build my relationship with my daughters.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going back to prison.
What were some of the challenges when you first come out of Nick? Was there any sort of struggles or challenges adjusting?
You know what? I struggled with being out of my children's life for 6 years. So I had a lot of guilt and a lot of things to build up with them, and I did. I just want to be the best that I can.
Yeah.
So I concentrated on working hard during the week and spending as much time with my children at the weekend, and that's what I've done.
What did you enjoy most about being in that cab in the lorry, apart from obviously the structure and the money?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've done that many hours when I first come out just to start earning money.
Yeah.
It felt like I was in another cell on wheels.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what the cab felt like.
Yeah.
I felt I went from one cell that was built out of concrete to a moving cell.
Yeah.
What I enjoyed most, truthfully, is being able to stop and go and buy yourself what you want.
Yeah.
Go and buy an ice cream when it's a hot day. Go and buy a KFC or go and buy something that you want. When you're in prison, you don't get that.
Yeah.
You don't get a choice. You just get fed what you're given.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think your time in the military, did you learn any skills that you think benefited you as a lorry driver?
Yeah, so obviously you always turn up on time. There's a lot of things that the military instills you, don't they? So they instill that that can-do attitude, not give up, know how to get the job done.
Yeah.
And I think that anyone who leaves the military, even with a HCV license, so we upskill them to get the HCV license. They make good employees.
Yeah.
They always turn up on time. They understand rank. So if they understand rank, they understand management.
Yeah.
They know how to take orders. They know bullshit comes down and it goes back up.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that you do get instilled in the military, and that's why a lot of your big companies, they want to employ ex-military personnel.
Yeah.
For them factors. And I always say this, you got different types of people that join the military and different types of people get out. So you get people from the council estate who join to get away. You get people who are educated who join for a career.
Yeah.
You get people who are educated who go on to become technicians. You get people go become officers. They're the people that don't tend to struggle when they leave.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it's the ones who not academic. They join the military. They come infantry soldiers. When they leave and they leave without a trade, that supports them into employment. They're the ones who tend to struggle a lot, and they're the ones that as a charity, Veterans into Logistics are picking up the pieces by retraining them and supporting them into employment.
Yeah, I get that. So how long were you lorry driving for before you set up Veterans into Logistics?
So what happened was, I was released from prison at the back end of 2012.
Yeah.
And like I said, I got a job and then I went on to become a fuel tanker driver. So then in 2018, nearly enough 6 years or 5, 6 years later, I get a phone call out of the blue. And that phone call was, have you heard about such a body? And you know what's going to come next when someone says that to you.
Yeah.
So it was one of my army mates that phoned me up and he said, have you heard about Jamie Doyle?
Yeah.
So I knew what was going to come next. And he's been found dead this morning.
Yeah.
And I'd only spoken to Jamie 2 weeks before. He's a big Liverpool fan and I'm a big Manchester City fan, and we was messaging each other. I was gutted, like you do when you lose one of your close mates. But then I went to his funeral. He come from a big, Scouts Liverpool family.
Yeah.
All the military, military lads there from his regiment. All my mates who was serving were there. Plus, he had a big family as well. So he had really an amazing send off.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say it out for funerals, but it was a fantastic send off. But it was being there, and I didn't expect it to hurt me as much as what I thought it would. When I walked away from that funeral and I was on my own, it started hurting, it started making me think when I was working on my own as a truck driver. And then I started thinking to myself, do you know, when you buy a car and no one's got that type of car, but as soon as you get one, you start seeing them all over.
Yeah.
Well, that happened to me with the suicide rate amongst the veteran community.
Yeah.
And I started seeing more on social media. And then I started doing a bit of research at home, looking into it. And then I started, looking at the prison population that are ex-military. There's a lot of ex-military that end up in prison. And then I started, looking at the unemployment rate amongst the veteran community.
Yeah.
And I was just doing that research at home, and I just thought, it's a bit of a class thing, this. Because even the homeless veterans, when you walk down the street and you see a homeless veteran, you don't expect him to be someone who's been to Sandhurst.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, he's ex-military, and he's left without a trade.
Yeah.
So I just thought to myself, the more research that I'd done, I thought I want to do something.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was at the time, but I kept on looking at it, and I kept on thinking about it. And I was earning good money as a fuel tanker driver, but I had that desire inside me and wanted to do something.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I've been rock bottom. I've been suicidal. I've been in prison. I've been on the streets. I've been homeless. I've lost my marriage. But I managed to build my life back, and I managed to come out the other side. And I class myself fortunate every day that I was able to come out the other side, because not many people do. I've come out the other side, and I decided then I knew what I wanted to do, and that was veterans into logistics. I wanted to use my own experience of being rock bottom, but rebuilding my life back, and I wanted to train veterans who were, struggling or got no employment, and I wanted to train them to become HGV drivers and rebuild the life that they wanted to within the logistic industry.
Yeah. The veterans into logistics, so you take a veteran that could not have their licenses and train them through their licenses?
Yes, that's something I've done. So I bought my first vehicle back in 2020. It was a Class 2 truck. I named it after Jamie Doyle. I'd never run a driver training school before. I was still a fuel tanker driver working 4 on 4 off. And I decided, I got the help of one of my old friends who was a HCV instructor himself.
Yeah.
I went, let's go. So I got a truck, and I started training from there. And I remember the first veteran that I trained, he was a Navy veteran.
Yep.
He was in supported accommodation over in Liverpool, Speak House. He'd lost his marriage. He was in a bad way. He couldn't see a way out. And he was referred to me by the Poppy Factory.
Yeah.
I trained him up. I got him his HCV license, and he's never looked back.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
You know what I mean? He's never struggled for employment. He was close to suicide himself, because the Poppy Factory told me he was depressed, and I was actually saying, come on, mate, believe in me, because I'll help you do it. But the thing is, if he would have took his own life, he had 2 kids at the time, he wouldn't have been a dad to them.
Yeah.
But we've empowered him, to provide for himself. That's enabled him to provide for his family, and he's rebuilt his life back with his mother and kids. And that's all it takes. He's just giving a veteran the tools, because they don't want to become charity cases, not all of them, but give them the tools where they can provide for themselves. Yeah. And that's what we do at Veterans into Logistics. We empower veterans who are falling on hard times, and we empower them by upskilling them to get their HCV license, and we support them into employment.
Yeah. And do you have connections with logistic companies to get the guys in?
You know what? When I got going, it was hard, because obviously when you're new, not a lot of people want to listen to you, but obviously I got my first vehicle, named after Jamie Doyle. I got me one of my friends who was served with, Major Battersby.
Yep.
So he went through the ranks, RSM, LE officer, he's a major, serving as a major. He reached out, seeing what I was doing. He got involved, and he's been there from the beginning. And Janice Kerner, who was, at the time, she was the first transgender in the Royal Navy. She got on board with and believed in the mission.
Yeah.
And we grew it from there. So I just surrounded myself with good people who wanted to make a difference. And I believe when you're doing good things happen. And doors opened. I got my second vehicle, and I named it after Fusilier Lee Rigby. I grew up on the same council estate as Lee. My dad knew his mum. So I got my dad to reach out to Lee Rigby's mum. And I said I want to name the second vehicle after Lee.
Yep.
And we did. And that was our Class 1 vehicle. So we went from not just training Class 2, we went to training Class 1 as well, which is your big, long, articulated lorries. And it just went from there, mate. And then John Harker, he came on as our general manager. He was another late entry officer. He's now gone back into the military as a lieutenant colonel, as the Dukes of Lancs secretary. But he came on board. He made a difference. He made an impact. He helped us get a new fleet, so we got 3 new vehicles off Volvo. Yeah. Got them all liveried up. We got the support of the Veterans Foundation. We got support of the Office of Veterans Affairs. We had ministerial visits. And you know what? It's not about me. It's about what we do for the veterans, and we upskill them and get them into jobs, mate.
I take it you do the Cat C, Cat C plus E, and is it CPC you have to have as well as a lorry driver, is it?
So you Cat C, but no, the way I can describe it is like, it's a rigid vehicle, a bit like your bin trucks that come and pick your waste up. That's a rigid vehicle. Yeah. So that's classed as a Class 2 vehicle, HGV Class 2. So they're known as like HGV Class 2 or Cat C or rigid. Yeah. So that's what they know. They're the 3 different terminologies. And then you obviously have like your bigger vehicles that you see in the motorway where they have the trailers and they can put the legs down and drop the trailer. That's classed as a Cat CE. Another name is your Class 1 Arctic. So they have 3 different names, but they're the same thing. And we have them now up in Greater Manchester, and we're having a massive impact training veterans in newer vehicles that we've got the support of the Veterans Foundation and Volvo. Yeah.
So are you able to support veterans that might have additional barriers like criminal records, mental health issues, no recent work history?
I always say this, right? So I come out of prison and I use my license to get a job. As veterans into logistics, they're actually in prisons.
Yeah.
We support veterans that are still serving. We go inside and help them get their medicals, so they've got a belief when they get out. And then when they come out of prison, we upskill them and support them into employment. We have some fantastic national logistic companies that understand they've got a criminal record and they believe in giving individuals a second chance.
Yeah.
And we have supported a lot of veterans in prison coming out and upskilled them and got them into jobs. And you know what? It reduces reoffending.
Yeah, exactly.
This government wants to reduce reoffending. Train people up and get them a job.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Very simple.
And you just said there, so veterans into logistics is national.
So we have 3 training vehicles up in Manchester, but we have a national footprint because we have what we do when, say a veteran gets in touch in Scotland or London or Brighton. What we do as a charity, we put their medicals wherever they are. So that gives that veteran hope, which is a default medical that everyone needs to take to drive a HGV.
Yep.
And once they pass that medical, then we send off for their provisional driving license, provisional HGV license. Yep. That gets put on their license, and from there we book them. We send in the training material for them to pass the theory test. Once we see the training on it, because we can see how they're training, and once they're ready for the theory test, we'll book them in their theory test wherever they are in the country.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Once they pass that, we either bring them to Greater Manchester if they're close by, or we'll use another training provider up and down the country to get them through their HGV license. Yeah. But to us, that's just half the mission.
Yeah.
The other half of the mission is getting them a job. And we've got some fantastic partners from Muller Dairies to Asda's to FLX to Yodel, Armstrong's, Freshlink. We've got some fantastic partners who believe in what we're doing and believe in supporting people from the armed forces community.
Yeah. Do you think there's more organisations, businesses, particularly big businesses, that need their eyes opening a bit more to the value in veterans?
Of course it is, because I've said, you got bigger charities that milk, I shouldn't say milk, but they know how to get the funding, do you know what I mean? We're just a small charity that makes a difference. But the thing is, the beauty of our charity is they can actually see what we're doing.
Yeah.
We just say, we train people, we get them jobs. Simple. We don't do nothing else, right? We stay in our lane, we train veterans, or we train service leavers, or we train reservists, and we get them jobs. Simple. We don't do nothing else.
Has there been any big standout success stories that you can think of?
So the sort of success stories, we had a BBC documentary made on us in 22. We've had I went down to the Cabinet Office to see Johnny Mercer. I had Steve Barker, down the street chief of staff, come and see us. Angela Rayner, Deputy Prime Minister, is an ambassador of the charity.
Oh, wow. Brilliant.
So is Andy Burnham, the great Manchester. So we've been pretty well looked after all politically.
Yeah.
Asda's is one of our main supporters. So they've done a charity event the other week,
Yeah.
and they raised 60 grand in one night
That's
for
brilliant.
us. We're established. Not saying we can't grow more. We want to grow more. We want it where there's no service leave ended up in no such a bad way. We want to catch the service leavers who are leaving with no support, and they want to come into industry. We want to be able to pick them up, train them up, and get them into employment, because to us, that's prevention rather than cure.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we can prevent someone like taking their own life, we can prevent them from becoming suicidal, prevent them ending up in prison, and that's our mission.
I think I mentioned it to you last time we spoke that there's over £1.3 billion in charities in England and Wales that say that they support the armed forces or veterans. I just think this money could be used to better effect, because as you say, there's still a veteran homelessness problem, still veterans having doors closed on them, still unemployed veterans.
You know what? Most of it's in a bank building interest.
Yeah, and it's ring fence for the big boys, isn't it?
100%, mate. There shouldn't be no homeless veteran. The thing is, they go collecting it, they go raising it. Why have we got a problem?
Yeah.
Why is there 7,000 homeless veterans on the street? Why is there so many veterans in prison?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these big charities know when you get in touch with them, it can take 12 weeks before they have an answer.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And when you're on your ass, mate, 1 day is like a week.
Yeah.
1 week is like a month. 1 month is like a year. It takes sometimes a veteran to reach out, and then what they've got to do then, they have to be investigated by the Gestapo to prove that they're on their ass. What we do is we put belief in straight away by booking a medical, and that gives a veteran hope who's on their ass.
So if a veteran phoned Veterans into Logistics tomorrow, you'd be on the case, making them feel part of the fold and saying...
Of course, we have a backlog. No, we're not a massive organisation. Of course we have a backlog, but we do our best and we're getting through it.
Yeah.
You know, there's not many veterans that are reaching out for support. We've got a massive caseload.
Yeah.
But we are doing our best, and you know, we had more funding. If we had that £1.5 billion, I can guarantee you this: every veteran would be trained in about 6 months.
Yeah. Darren, I think that 1.3 billion would be better off in your hands, and the country would be a better place for it. So what's next for Veterans into Logistics? What's anything big coming up?
So my vision, right? My vision. So did you ever go to Leconfield, the Defence School of Transport?
I didn't, but I know it. Yeah.
So Leconfield is where they send up people from all the different cap badges, the different, whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines, and they get sent up there to do the driver training or obtain the HCV. My vision is not to have something similar in Greater Manchester.
Yeah.
We've already got the land already that's been donated to us by the council. But what we want to do is turn that into like a veteran, I shouldn't say defence, but like a veteran driving academy, where we've got accommodation on there. You know, we've got all the facilities, so we can support a veteran or a service leaver who's leaving the armed forces with no fixed aboard. We can bring them straight there, train them, and then get them a job with our partners. If a veteran's coming out of prison with no fixed aboard, let them come to us. We've got the accommodation. Let's get them trained up.
Yeah.
My vision is doing that. Having flags outside it with all the different partners, whether it's Asda, Yodel, Palex, let them fly the flags who support our mission and who believe in our mission. And that's my vision. And hopefully one day we can do that, and we can take veterans who are in supporting accommodation and bring them towards, we upskill them, send them back to that accommodation, and then we support them to get employment with our national partners.
Yeah.
I've took a veteran who's been homeless off the street. I've took a few actually. One was in Manchester, and I was walking down the street, and I know, like, you see him homeless, and they have the little cardboard saying that they're a veteran. Yeah. So I walked up to him, and I just, like you do, you speak to someone who's served, and you sort of, I wasn't trying to trick him, but I was questioning him. And I was asking him where he'd served, where did he do his basic training, and he gave me all the right answers. So I believe he was a veteran. And I just said to him, I said, how come you're here? And he said, truthfully, I lost my mum, I broke up with my missus. I was, became homeless. I went to the council. They put me in this accommodation where it's full of smackheads and people taking drugs. He said, and I feel more safer sleeping there. Yeah. So I went, okay. I said, have you got your car license? And he went, yeah. I said, well, I can help you get your HGV license.
Yeah.
And I think he looked at me as if I was like chatting shit. I said, we can help you. So took him to the charity, got his details, supported him with accommodation. Cut a long story short, he got me his HGV license, got him a job, and I said to him, right, you need to go sleeping Monday to Friday. It's called tramping, in the logistics industry and the truck driving industry. I said, sleep in your truck Monday to Friday, treat it like basic training. I said, do that for 12 weeks and build your money up. So if you're earning £1 a week, it won't take you long to build your life, turn your life around. So he actually done it. He came and see me last year. He come to the office and he come in and shout me, like, not shout me, but he's like, Dan, I want you to come outside. I want to show you something.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. No, like, so he took me outside and I thought he was going to show me his truck. As I walked out, opened the doors, there's like a brand new Audi. It wasn't brand new, it was about 4 years old, A4.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Gleaming white. Gleaming white. And he went, Darren, he said, I won't have this. We want for you. I'm Veterans into Logistics.
Yeah.
And I went, no, mate. I said, you wouldn't have this if it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
I said, we give you the skill, but you're the one who gets up early in the morning. You're the one who puts the shift in. Yeah. You're the one who's grafting.
Yeah.
I said, it's down to you, mate, not me.
Yeah.
You got yourself this. And we've got loads of them success stories.
That's brilliant.
Hundreds of them. And then you just empower them to earn their own wage, stand on their own 2 feet. They're not a charity case.
Yeah.
And you're empowering them to earn their own money.
Yeah. I know a few years ago, I remember seeing in the news that there was a crisis because there wasn't enough lorry drivers in the country. Is that still a thing?
The demand's still not growing. That was down to what happened there was because the country was flooded with Eastern European drivers. Yeah. The government brought in a rule called IR35, where these Eastern European drivers had to pay tax like every other taxpayer does, and they didn't want to do it. So they said, we're not doing that. We don't want to be we can't be a self-employed driver. So they all went working back to the continent where they could do it, and that's what left to the driver shortage of HGV drivers.
Yeah.
So I look at it as I look at it as like not like a blessing, but we train people up that they want to pay tax.
Yeah, exactly.
So the demand is there. So we're training British drivers up. I shouldn't say British, we do a lot with the Commonwealth veterans as well. We train them up and support them into employment.
Excellent. And one final question, because I know you're a busy man. Yeah. If there is a veteran listening to this, or even someone that's serving that's thinking about getting out or on their transition path, do you have any advice for them?
Yes. So my advice is always get your HGV license, right? So you have a service leaver, whether they can use the LCAS, try and get your HGV license before you leave. Get your medical, get your theory test, leave that HGV license. It might not be a job that you want to go into, but it's a plan B.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's something that you can always fall back on. And if you have a veteran who's listening to this and wants to get support or get obtaining, or they need support with their driver CPC, get in touch with Veterans into Logistics. It's www.veteransintrologistics.org.uk. Fill in the referral form. One of the office staff will be in touch with you. And we also have our partner, which is called Veterans Job Board UK.
Yeah.
So there's over 6,500 jobs on there. And they are companies not just who just tick the tick box of signing the armed forces covenant. Yep. They are companies that do want to make a difference and they do want to employ ex-military personnel. Yep. And there is some fantastic jobs on there. But also there's some training opportunities as well.
Brilliant.
So for the service leavers veterans who are looking to upskill, not just HGV driving, there's rail opportunities there, there's wind farm opportunities there, there's all different types of opportunities. Construction. So it's not just HGV driving, because I know not everyone wants to be a HGV driver, but they're looking for other careers or other training opportunities. My advice is get on Veterans Job Board UK, have a look. If there's anything that you fancy, fill in the details, and let's get you into employment.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And what I'll do is I'll put all the links in the show notes and I'll link you in on social media and that. So if anyone is thinking of a career change or needs a job or is thinking about getting out, they can get in contact with you, because I think it's pretty incredible. Your passion it comes across. And I like that. It's not box ticking exercise, because there's far too many of them in this country, I think.
Yeah, there's loads. So there's loads that know the alpha. I'm not going to say things, but there's loads of companies that just tick the box to tick it, but we're not into that. We want to work with companies that want to make a difference, that believe in the mission, that want to offer people find opportunities. Those who serve the country, those who've been willing to die for the country.
Yeah.
So we have some fantastic companies on there that believe in it, and they wanted to upskill those who serve the country.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Darren, and hopefully this will spread the word about veterans into logistics. We'll get the word out and just keep doing what you're doing. I think it's incredible. I wish there was more people in the world like you. I honestly do, as soft as that sounds.
Mate, listen, it's just we're doing what we do to help our own.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? You know yourself. You've been there yourself. You've been rock bottom, and to come out the other side. You want to help people. You want to help fellow veterans. You want to help people to prevent them from going where you went.
Yeah.
And it's working together, and it's And I always believe this is stronger together. I work with other veteran organisations. Like I said, we stay in our lane as a charity, but I work with others who offer that other support, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't, as a charity, we don't try and do something that we can't.
Yeah.
We just stay in what we do, and that's training and employment. But we also work with other charities that not offer support, and if we can't offer them, we signpost them elsewhere. But it's working together.
And that's the thing, we were taught teamwork and working together was what we were taught in the military, and it seems it's been forgotten. I do see it in what I do, where charities don't talk to each other, and I'll be honest with you, it is mainly the big boys. I think we know who we're on about, but it's all about collaboration, mate.
Of course it is. Do you know what it is as well, though? You know why they don't do it? And you know what? And it's sad.
Go on.
Right, and it's someone that I know, like that I've seen, though, obviously when I set veterans into logistics up, right? And I just think it's all about them trying to look good.
Yeah.
They don't want anyone else to look good. Or I don't know if they're chasing the funding streams. I don't know what it is, but you'd have thought, you know, with us all being ex-forces, we don't work together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree with you, mate.
We're in there to make a difference, and I always say, you're stronger together. You know, let's work together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But we do work with a lot of other organisations. So we work with the British Legion, we work with the Poppy Factory, we work with Up Nova, so we take a lot from them. We get referrals from Walking and Wounded, and it's you find, you know where the good ones are and you know where the bad ones are, but
yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter. You just work together.
Yeah. All right, and Darren, thanks very much for your time, and hopefully we'll speak again in the future, mate. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Muster Point Beyond the Wire. A huge thank you to Darren for joining us and giving us a glimpse into the incredible work Veterans into Logistics is doing, helping veterans shift gears, find direction, and get back in the driving seat. If you're a veteran, know someone who is, or you're part of a group making a difference, we want to hear from you. This podcast is about sharing stories, building connections, and making sure no one's left behind after service. Get in touch, share your journey, and let's keep pushing forward together. Until next time, take care of yourselves, check in on your mates, and remember, once you've served, you're always part of the tribe.